What do you get when you mix a high school teen drama with science fiction? Well, you get whatever the fuck dog shit crap bullshit that we got now. Starfleet Academy. I'm so angry. I So Starfleet Academy is essentially set in 1,000 years into the future from the original show. And in this time, some random event where space magic is involved basically renders the warp engines inert and unable to go travel far into space like they used to. And unfortunately, what this brought was universe wide panic, and everyone has to sort of fend for themselves. And with no help from the Federation, and the Federation has basically been completely disbanded and melted down to nothing. And so it's not until recently where this show picks up is when they're able to start using warp engines again. And so they are now able to travel into space and far and wide, and are basically starting up Starfleet Academy again. And this is where we get Holly Hunter's character come in, Commander Ake. The only name I remember out of the whole bloody thing, is charged with recruiting and bringing these new recruits back to San Francisco, and on their ship, the Athena, which is this big leviathan of a vessel, which is essentially a cruise liner, and where the recruits are going to learn about becoming a Starfleet officer before they've even done any theory, any work, any lectures about how to become an officer. They are straight dragged off the street onto the ship, in the deep end. Here you go. Enjoy. Weird. All right. Okay. How? Why? What? Where? Who? These questions I've been asking myself quite often watching this first episode. It basically starts off with this young family, mother and son, looking up at the stars out of a window and dreaming about what life could be like and how different it could be if they were able to sort of go to Earth and live out their days on Earth. We find out that essentially it's a prison that they're staying in and awaiting trial. And so the mother is on trial with Paul Giamatti's character, who is the villain of the piece, and essentially is running various different schemes and trying to get supplies and food and trying to sort of build an illegal empire, and has dragged this mother along, whose name, no idea, couldn't tell you, and has basically sort of lured her into his little criminal enterprise. And so they get caught. A murder has taken place of somebody, don't know who, but she's now on trial for murder and is basically sentenced to 15 years in prison by Commander Ake, who at this point in the story is a trial lawyer for Starfleet or the Federation or whatever it is back then. Don't know. And so she separates this family, and this young kid basically has to survive on the streets, as it were, and try and sort of evade the authorities as best he can. And so we catch up 15 years later into the future, and he is been rediscovered by Commander Ake. And this is after she has basically been taken charge of Starfleet Academy. She's been recruited by the dude from The Mummy, which I didn't realise until afterwards. I had to be like, that's the dude from The Mummy. Yeah, there you go. Maybe the show isn't too bad. But no, alas, mummy guy returns for like 2 seconds and that's it, he's gone. But essentially, he's the one that recruits her to become chancellor of the school. And so, upon hearing that this young boy, the main character of the show, don't know his name, couldn't tell you, don't know who anyone is basically the young kid that she separated from his mother 50 years ago, and he's also being transported to prison. And so she gives him like an ultimatum. She finds him, she tracks him down, gives him an ultimatum, and says, "Look, we can fix this, and basically, I want you to become a Starfleet officer and serve out your sentence by doing this." You wouldn't just get like some normal rando off the street to become a Starfleet officer, which I'll explain a bit later. But anyway, it's her story of redemption and trying to fix the issues that she's had in the past of separating this family and making sure that, you know, he's okay and he's got a future ahead of him. And so the stories around these two characters and the new recruits of this newly formed Starfleet Academy. Okay, so like I said earlier, when watching this episode of Starfleet Academy, which was released earlier in the week, last weekend, sorry, I kept asking myself these questions: how, what, who, when, where, and most importantly, why? Why is this happening? Why are they taking the recruits onto the ship straight away so that they can learn about becoming a Starfleet officer? It's ridiculous. I mean, a hospital's not going to grab somebody from the street to literally perform life-threatening surgery straight away. No, a, a doctor takes 10 years to even hold a scalpel, let alone do surgery. They'll have like 4 years of university to learn like the theory and all that sort of stuff. Then they've got 3 years of like internships and working in a teaching hospital, for example. And then until then, they are trusted to like sew up or even assist a surgery. And it's not until they've logged a certain amount of hours till they do their first solo surgery. So it baffles me that Star Trek have gone this way to the point where they're like, right, here you go, here's the ship, throwing you at the deep end, let's go, let's see what happens. And then they have the audacity to call it a teachable moment. Fuck off. Really? Seriously going to make me believe that you're going to create these Starfleet officers by just throwing them at the deep end? No. That's why the original shows worked really well, is because they have gone through the various different development stages of becoming a Starfleet officer. It's baffling. Oh, oh my god. And also, like, who are these people? Like, I, I don't know. Like, what are their specialties? What training have they had? What are their capabilities? Are they honourable people? All these questions just kept rattling on in my mind. It was ridiculous. I would mention that the uniforms are ridiculous and the badges make no sense whatsoever. Uh, if I remember correctly, the uniforms were distinguishable from one to the next. So, for example, you had red for command or cannon fodder, depending on which person you are. Blue was medical, and I believe gold or yellow would be like technical or security. And so each uniform was designated like a particular sort of specialty, which I saw none of this in Starfleet Academy. Also, I'd had no idea which rank anybody was. Gone are the pips, which would basically differentiate which rank a person held. So 4 pips for captain, 3 for number one or second in command, and so on and so on. And none of that existed. I had no idea what was going on. There was nothing there. Also, the badge that they have used to be a symbol of Starfleet. It used to be like an honor to wear this badge. It was not only that, but it was also a communicator as well. And it had other uses, like you could track somebody with it. You could, the fact that it opens these random doors that when you walk through it, you could get teleported to anywhere, and it's served as a transporter. Doesn't work like that. That's not what it's for. And also the fact that you can project stuff, like how, where, how could it project people's files and stuff? Oh, really, really? Just keep it simple. It's too overly complicated. It's not that difficult, honestly. I mean, how have we gotten to this point? I mean, what I would say is it's a very diverse group. Also, aren't Klingons bred for war? Birdwatching. Really? You're telling me that this young Klingon recruit likes birdwatching? Oh, oh, God's sake, give me strength. Oh. And number one, how does she exist? How is she Klingon? How is she blue? Klingons go through very sort of ritualistic mating traditions where they essentially fight each other, and in that fight, that is when they can decide whether the mate that they are going for is essentially the right ideal partner. And it's through combat, which is where they show their emotions, where they show who they truly are. And oh my god, clearly their idea of what a Klingon is has completely gone out the window. And why is she acting like a drill sergeant and belittling one of the recruits, where Starfleet Academy is supposed to be sort of a place of learning and improvement and all that sort of good stuff? Like, why is she treating him like a recruit from like the Marines or something and asking him to do random push-ups and screaming and yelling at him in his face? Like, what is that supposed to teach him? Please, just stop. Stop. What I would say is it's a very diverse group, not in a good way. I would have thought Starfleet Academy required to have some level of physical fitness and ability. I don't know. I'm just saying. I mean, the rigors of space travel is very tough, and it's not easy to operate in space, and so you need to have like at least a base level of fitness to survive. So, oh, okay, I didn't see any of that there. Right, that's another thing. One thing I would say is also I have no idea who any of these actors are apart from the mummy guy and Holly Hunter. And it's just, I don't know who or care about any of them. Like, I didn't get any of that here. Why does Holly Hunter tremble all the time? Why does she sit in the captain's chair as she does, like it's a fucking sofa in a sitting room, just chilling, reading the book? Why is she wearing glasses when she's reading? Have they not discovered the cure for blindness? Like, why does she has a lisp? Why does she act so calm in stressful situations? Like, clearly she hasn't gone through the Kobayashi Maru, because if she would have done, she'd be shitting her pants when she confronts Giamatti's character and they're facing certain death. Because what Kobayashi Maru teaches you is how you conduct yourself in almost certain death, how you sort of react when you're in a no-win scenario, which is a true test of a Starfleet commander. That was what was so good about Kirk. Like, he would work around it. He would sort of cheat the system almost. He didn't believe in no-win scenarios. Picard would use diplomacy. You know, all these different characters, all these different commanders would have their way of like dealing with it. With this, how did we get from this, and how do we get to that? Like, honestly, it's unbelievable. How have they gotten away with this? I do not know. It's just ridiculous. I mean, oh, it's not Star Trek. It's not a teen drama. I don't fucking care about pubescent adolescent bullshit. They had such a missed opportunity to do something really, really good. And did they fuck? No. Like, why did they have to set it so far into the future? Why didn't they do something? So this is my pitch. Why didn't they set it after Janeway had returned from the Delta Quadrant and have her be in command of this new Starfleet and build a group of new recruits to build a new crew for like a brand new ship that's being built, and bring in like guest lectures from other crews that we know from like Deep Space Nine, or from even Next Generation, or even from the original show, like have them as like holograms, for example, you know. And then what you could do is like have an exciting incident where each of the crews from the original shows get paired up with the new recruits to like solve particular problems and things like that, and work together cohesively as one unit at the end. And it's like, oh yeah, it's ridiculous. I can't believe this is actually a thing. Also, on another note, how the fuck does the ship even fly when its engines aren't even attached to the ship? How floating nacelles? Like, what's it supposed to run on? It makes no sense whatsoever. Like, these ships are meant to be sort of practical and able to survive for years and years on end because of their long distance missions that often require like reliable and high maintenance on the ships themselves, because they're such complex machines that require like constant maintenance from the engineers and the chief engineer trying to monitor all the readings that's going on through the warp drive and the engines, and it's like a living breathing thing. So when I see that the ship completely detaches itself and is left with just the saucer, I mean, how does that even work? Really? Come on. It doesn't make any sense. And also, when they have, when the ship is under attack and they're trying to fix something on the outside of the ship, and Blue Man Group turns up, who looks really quite feminine when he turns blue, sort of comes up on the ship, and he says he can survive 8 minutes in vacuum of space. Like, the ship is massive. It would have taken him an hour just to get to the saucer. Like, oh. But all right, okay. How? Where? What? Why? Who? Huh? Oh, thank you very much for watching. Thank you. Please like and subscribe to my channel, and please let me know what your favorite iteration of Star Trek is. For me personally, Voyager was one for me that I really enjoyed. Let me know what you think in the comments, what your favorite Star Trek is, and what you thought of Starfleet Academy, and if you're at the same sort of conclusion as I am. It makes no sense. Why is this a thing?